Welcome to episode 1 of this Let's Play of Gladius, Relics of War. I had an episode 0 that went up, so if you missed that one, you might check that out. That episode contains no gameplay at all. It's just me talking about setting up the game, the factions, and sort of what all the resources and kind of how the game plays a little bit without actually really starting my turn. The only thing I did was move a couple units to demonstrate some things. So this will be the episode where we start getting to the gameplay. We'll talk a little bit about the units and a little bit about like how we build things, and then we'll get into it. We'll start finding neutral units to fight. May encounter some of the other players depending on their spawn positions. We don't know where they'll spawn. I kind of spawned perfectly in this upper corner, but the enemies could have spawned, relatively close by. There could be oceans over here or something. It's suspicious that there's no webway gates in this whole area. And if you saw my first episode, episode 0, I talk about what the webway gates are. So we'll get into it. And again, by all means, if you're enjoying the videos, please leave a like. It really helps quite a bit. And if you're so inclined, subscribe. And I'm trying to put out a video every day for the foreseeable future. And I just completed my 43 long episode Age of Wonders Planetfall, which was way longer than I wanted it to be, but that's what happened. So let's get back into it. We're ready to end turn. Now in the early game, it's actually quite dangerous to have units going off alone for very long, maybe only 2 or 3 turns. That's because there are neutral units that tend to come in big groups. Like there might be a pile of them hiding out here in the ruins or the forest or something. But the most dangerous are units called enslavers, and they can take over a unit and it makes it neutral. And that's permanent unless you kill the slaver. But what tends to happen is the units they take over become a little suicidal, so you end up having to kill your own units a lot of the time, which is really unfortunate. One thing I didn't talk about in the previous episode is actually how units work. They'll have a lot of information down here. So for instance, Guardians, these are the basic infantry unit of the Aeldari. You can see they have a certain production cost, food and ore cost in order to build them, and they have an upkeep cost per turn of food. Now they have a bunch of different things, like they have increased accuracy against chaos units, but they take more damage from chaos units. Actions don't consume their movement, which we talked about last episode. They can move after they act as long as they haven't already moved this turn. I get 3 energy when they die from their experience value, and that's a special faction bonus they get, which is when Eldar die, you get energy, which is a resource. So it's just like a little bit of a consolation prize. They're fast. Eldar units tend to be able to move 1 hex further than other units, sometimes 2. And this is a bonus they're getting from being on this special resource tile, which is that they heal a little faster, they take a little bit less damage, and let's see, range damage reduction and city damage reduction. So they must be taking less damage from range and less damage in melee. So it'd be doubled up for range. And so here's their experience value. If they have action points left, their morale and their hit points. Now, obviously, when their hit points are down, they die. In this game, units actually have a unit count. So this group here has 6 units. You can see down there 6 out of 6 group size. As members of this group die, the unit actually gets weaker. So when you heal up, the units will sort of come back. And the way they get weaker is that you can see they have this thing called Shuriken Catapult. It does 1.9 damage. It has 2 attacks. So that means it attacks. That 1.9 damage is done twice, and then that's times 6 members. Now, that means that if this unit has taken damage and lost a couple members, there's only 4 times the attacks because there's fewer members firing. So it's actually important with units with groups that you heal up, and when you take damage, if you don't lose units, that's good, or perhaps lucky, depending on how close it was. They have an armor penetration of 2, so they ignore 2 armor. Each point of armor is approximately 8.3% reduction in damage. It falls off a little bit as they get more armor, but it has a maximum amount. And then it has a range of 1 and an accuracy of 8, which is a 67%. So that means that 67% of the 1.9 damage times 2 times 6 will go through, penetrating 2 armor. It's quite a bit to calculate. Fortunately, you can hover over an enemy, like you can hold right click and hover over an enemy, and it'll show a display of what the damage estimation is going to be. It may be a little more or less. And then there's other things like traits. So this is an assault. That's a classification of the weapon type, which means if we upgrade certain, say, researches that give assault weapons armor penetration, for instance, you would look at your units and say, oh, okay, so my guardians with their shuriken catapults will do a little bit more damage now because they have an assault weapon. They also have Blade Storm, increase the damage and armor penetration. So this weapon just does more damage and armor penetration than it would normally. I don't know why that's baked into the weapon instead of just giving them more damage and armor penetration as part of the weapon, but there you go. And then we talked about buildings, and I'll show a little bit more about how that works when we start building. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to start capturing more of these nodes. You can see, like I talked about in episode 0, if you move a little bit, you're done. You can't actually move any more that turn. So I'm going to risk grabbing this. Okay, so I've run into some enemies, so this is bad. So what's going to happen here is I might lose this unit. This might have been a mistake. So this unit has now lost a member, so you can see the damage has gone down to ×5, because there's only 5 members. They had an Overwatch attack, because they were a ranged attacker that hadn't fired in their previous turn, so they were ready to attack anything that came into range, which I unfortunately did. So I'm going to fire back, do some really big damage here. It'll severely weaken them. They may run rather than fight, but this group will come in and fight, which means if I survive, I'm probably going to be running away on my next turn. So we'll go ahead and end turn. Early turns are pretty quick. Okay, so someone's attacking this web wiggy, so there's a player down here somewhere. So they got an Overwatch attack. So this is a little bit dangerous. Oops, somebody else. Oh, okay, another group's attacking that same webway gate. So I don't want to capture this one, I'll just lose it immediately. So I'm only going to do, so you can see the battle preview over there on the left. I'm only going to do 5 damage, and then when they attack me back, they'll probably lose a member, so their return damage on the next turn probably won't be that full 3.4, but you can see there's Crute Hounds coming, and I do not want to get killed off here, especially because I'm not going to be producing new infantry because like I talked about in episode 0, my food income is really bad around here, so I'm probably going to be focusing on vehicles because I have lots of ore and poor food. So I don't want to lose these units because I can't replace them. By the way, in the episode 0, I talked about how the Tau can spend influence to recruit auxiliaries. They're actually these Vespid Stingwings and these Crute Hounds. These are the 2 neutral units that they can actually pay to recruit, which are not great units, but early game it's really nice to switch an enemy into an ally and have sort of free units, if you can think about it that way. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm probably going to run all the way back to my city because I don't want to be followed and killed. So these are a ranged unit that can fly, and so they can they have a jump pack, so they can kind of get over terrain. If there's like a cliff or something, they can vault past it. And the Crute Hounds are just quick melee sort of dog units. These are neutral Chaos Cultists. They're melee units. They have a weak ranged weapon. So these shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, I can kill them off all the way. So they're completely dead. You can see I got 1.1 experience. All units gain levels, so you can see they have 1.1 of 3 experience they need for a new level, and if this unit is killed, it's worth 1.5 experience to somebody who kills them. Every time a unit levels up, their hit points and damage go up by 5%, and their morale goes up by 10%. So leveled up units can actually get quite a bit stronger, so you can take these basic infantry, level them up to, say, level 5 or 6, and they can actually hold their own against mid-game units pretty well. That's hard to do sometimes because units tend to get piled on in big fights and just killed, but it can happen. And they also, if they do well or level up enough, the game will assign them names, which is really cool. I can rename them myself, but I like when the units get their own names. It's like their squad was distinguished in battle or something, and they're given a squad name, which I think is really neat. So hopefully we'll see some of those. In addition, when you kill a unit, the experience value is actually given to all friendly units within 3. So if I had a unit back here, or say over here when this Chaos Cultist died, they all would have gotten the experience. And fortifications, vehicles, infantry, and even your base can actually level up. So your home base, if you end up doing a lot of fighting because units are attacking and you're destroying them, your actual main base can level up and get stronger, which is really good. So this unit has attack, but I can actually still move. But I'm not going to do that because I don't have good vision and I don't want to run off alone and die. So I'm going to tell them to heal up. I don't think they will because they used an action. I think they have to spend their whole turn doing nothing. But we'll go ahead and queue it up so that that's what they'll do next time. Now back here in the city, we're ready to build another building. You can see because this is an empty box down here, which means there's a production slot that is not being used. And that's the main building that produces buildings. So what I did last turn was acquire this tile. You do have to expand manually into the tiles that you want. I can't grab this one because there's a cliff here. So you can see I can't actually, even though it's one away, there's no line from the city to that tile until I can go 2 away and then I can grab it. So I've acquired this tile. We can hit Control Z to see what the yield is underneath, or we can actually start to build something like this to see these tiles we haven't grabbed, or we could click on, say, any building and see it'll show the yields of the tiles. But I like to plan a little bit ahead by using the Control Z, kind of look around and see, you know, oh, I really want an ore production there, ore production here. So what we're going to do, I think at this early stage, is we're probably going to build a single food location right here. This is really good for ore, but look, I just don't have any good food places, and I never will in this city because it's so volcanic in this whole area. So this is always going to be bad for food. Later, I may find a place to settle that has better food. I can see there's some power down here. That's what desert has. Arctic has research, and then like forest and grasslands will have food. So you can see over here savanna, so that gives a little bit of food. Here's grassland with some brush, so that gives a lot better food. But of course I can't choose where I settle. I can only settle where there are these existing webway gates. So here what I'm probably going to do is build a single Ish's garden, because even though I'm not building infantry, that food is used for the population of the city. And after that's done, I'll build this greater ingress in the same spot and produce vehicles from there. So for the early game, we're going to be a little bit stuck with our 2 units, so we want to be very careful not to lose them. So that webway gate is down. So that's one place I can never settle. Enemy turn is taking quite a while. Okay, so I'm actually going to send these units into my city. They'll be safe inside there, and they actually heal, I think it's 20% per turn when they're in the city. This unit looks like it did not heal as I thought, but it'll heal a little bit faster on this spot. Instead of 10%, it heals 15%, so it's 50% faster. So actually, that's all we're doing for that turn. Oh, we're getting attacked again here. These banners look like... Oh, I should know this. Oh, I see a hammer. That could be... Oh, I should know this. Should be able to tell by the banner what faction this is, but it's just slipping my mind at the moment. Usually you can tell. So no one controls that one. No one controls... Oh, wait, is this... No, it's gray. No one controls that one. There's a Necron tomb under there. So this is a tile where either me or the Necrons can spawn. That might mean there are Necrons in this game if there are these Necron tombs. Not sure if they'll spawn. So you can see they're going to heal up inside there for free. We finished our research, so we'll grab the next one. I think we'll summon... I'm sorry, research... Maybe we'll do the one that makes heroes. If I'm going to be doing vehicles, I'm probably going to ignore these infantry. It's too bad because I really like the plasma grenade. It's one of the best grenades for early game infantry. And the rangers are snipers, and they have a 3 range, and they're very powerful against infantry. But I'm probably not going to use them until at least I get a food city, and by then I may have kind of teched out of using these early game infantry. We'll see what happens. But I'll grab this one. We'll get a hero in a little bit. Okay, so that unit's all ready to move out again. I want to be very careful. I'm going to take it very slow here because I don't want to be surprised. And if I surprise an enemy, then I get the Overwatch, which is very helpful. Yeah, we're pretty slow early game turns here. I can't shift the building around, unfortunately. I can't queue another building and sort of like put it to the front of the queue, which is very unfortunate. I wish you could. So we've built our Isha's Garden, so you can see the tile actually changes a little bit to have some sort of like Eldar structures in there. This looks like a terrible place to live. I don't know why we settled here. Ruins and like volcanic barren stuff. That's quite strange. So we'll go ahead and build a greater ingress here. This produces a small amount of ore and research, so it'll be a little bit more efficient here. And yeah, I'm almost positive you can't actually change the order of things. Okay, here are those Kroot Hounds, but they shouldn't be able to see me because I'm in the ruins, which should hide my movements. How are my unit's doing pretty well in there. I might pop them out on this next turn. Early game turns are a bit slow, especially when, you know, I decide not to build the infantry building that I could have built right away, but I didn't want to. I think you're basically healed up, so we'll pop you out of here. And you can capture this skull altar. It gives me 2 influence per turn, and it gives a blessing, and it has a cooldown of 10 turns, so they get extra attacks. So they're basically attacking faster. So it just multiplies the amount of damage they're doing, basically. There's those Kroot Hounds. A single bit of cliff right here. This is actually an option. If you have trouble seeing the cliffs like I do, like I would never have realized that there was a cliff right here. You know, or even up here, I would not have noticed this. But there's an option in the graphics that you can make these dotted lines visible for cliffs to make it easier to find like high ground that you can't pass over with regular units. You have to go around or fly or jump over it. And I really appreciate that they put that in the game. Okay, I've got quite a bit of units down here, so we want to go in together. That's going to be big damage. Wow, one hit. So it'll give them both experience, which is really good. We finished our research, so now that I have 2 done, I can move on to this next one. I love the Howling Banshees, but I'm not going to be able to use that. I might grab the Spirit Seer. Ghost, do I want Ghost Halls? I grow pretty slowly. I might grab the Spirit Seer, so the building that lets me build heroes will come with 1. It's the Autarch. So then you can research additional heroes, so I can get the Spirit Seer and the Farseer Skyrunner heroes. So I'll do this one. I haven't ever used this one, so we'll see what that person can do. Hopefully they don't only buff infantry, because I'm not going to have a lot of those. Go ahead and end turn. Alright, they're moving in a little bit. We'll have to be careful here. What we might do is move down here and then just hold, and if they come in, I get the Overwatch attacks. So we'll pass, and then they both have their Overwatch active and available. So these guys have to come in close. They have a range 1, so do these ones. So if they come in to attack me, I'll actually hit them first, which is a big bonus. Yeah, we're almost there. Our initial vehicles are not going to be great. They're going to be kind of like scouts, to be honest, but so would my initial infantry, which I won't be able to build as well. Okay, so they're not willing to come in. So let's go. Should we go in? I think so. Yeah, I took pretty big damage from that. But we can finish them off. Okay, their morale was lowered, you can see, by quite a bit, because their allies close by were killed. And this guy's leveled up, actually, so they have more maximum hit points now. These guys only need 0.3 experience to level up. So in turn, we're going to have our building done in a second. Uh-oh, they're coming in. Oh, these guys are very wounded now, so I want to get them out of here. Okay, so these guys, I'm going to stick them in the ruins over here because then they shouldn't be visible to these guys, and I don't know how smart the AI is about finding units that have been ran away, like retreated. I'm going to move back here to make it harder for these guys to get around me. And we're going to do some big damage. They should run away now. I don't think they're going to stay and fight with these odds. My city is done. So now I've got my greater ingress, which is going to produce vehicles for me. Oh, I actually I'm overpopulated here. So that means I have 3 buildings that require a person, a population point to use, but I only have 2 people available for 2 more turns. The Eldar grow much more slowly than everyone else. So what I can do is I can turn off my food building I made to return that to normal. And the reason I want to do that is because I get, I mean, you can see all of these, so 7.8 food. Oh, well, that's... Oh, sorry, this is the one making food. But look at the other one. So 12.6 ore when I'm overpopulated to 15.2. 0.2 energy to 1.2 energy. 10 research to 9 research. So being overpopulated lowers all of your resources. So, and one of the problems is you see the greater ingress's production is 6. If I'm overpopulated or overworked for the population, I go down to 4. So this will take 9 turns to make. If I turn this off, it takes 6 turns to make. So you see, I don't want this on until I have the extra person for it. You can never delete a building you've built in a city, but you can turn them off at least, which is nice. I wish you could delete them so that you could change the efficiency of things later on in your city as you acquire more tiles, but it's not a big deal. It's never really been a big deal for me. I've never even run out of slots in a city to build stuff. That's just nearly impossible. There's just you can just get so much stuff in a city. So we'll go ahead and start producing these shining spheres, which are expert skirmisher jet bike units. So they cost food and they have an upkeep of food, but eventually I'll be able to get vehicles that have an ore upkeep. That's why I want to focus on vehicles. And then the city needs something to do as well. Looks like we're going to soon run out of power. But we also want to build this Shrine of Cain. This produces influence and loyalty. So we're going to grab this tile because it gets plus 10 production bonus. No, I want that for my ingresses later. In fact, I should have put the ingress there, to be honest. But it's okay. It's not the end of the world. We'll grab that one. Oh, they didn't move at all. All right, take them out. And these guys are close enough to get the... oh, no, they're not from this. Only 2 away, 3 away, 4 away. Okay, so we'll put these guys here, and they can heal up there. And I do not want to explore alone, so we're just going to stop here, get some more vision. These guys look like their health bar isn't 100% full. Is that true? No, it is full. So you guys need to heal. You guys can just kind of sneak down here. Grab this plus 2 influence. That's good. I'm making good influence. So now I'll be able to build a hero unit here. So let's grab this Shrine of Cain. Plop that down there. What do we want to build? Probably the Ghost Halls, increased population limit. The higher your population limit is compared to your current population, the faster you grow as well, so that can be quite helpful. I can also spend some influence to make my city grow faster, but right now, 40 influence is kind of a lot. I don't have huge influence growth, so we're not going to worry about that right now. Okay, what do I want to work on here? There's a tile over here, a resource tile I can grab. But we don't want to just run in and get killed. So let's go to here. There's a water tile here, so I'm a little bit safer. This is wireweed here. Any of this pinky, purpley, kind of almost red lavender looking stuff. This stuff is basically like barbed wire plants. So if any units that aren't flying end their turn on this, at the beginning of their next turn, they take a fair amount of damage, actually, and it also slows you down. So trying to move through wire weed, it will stop your turn almost always. You have to go around it or wade through it. It's a big pain, so you want to avoid that. Factions have units that can remove wireweed. I have not figured out how Aeldari can do it. It's the only faction I'm not sure if they can even get rid of wireweed. Still working on that problem. Do I want to risk going in there? I don't think I do. Okay, I'm glad I didn't. There's Space Marines right there. Tactical Marines do a lot of damage, but they're wounded. I'm missing a member. They've been fighting something. Green, probably the Space Wolves. Not really. There aren't sub-factions in the game yet. That would be a really cool addition, though. Okay, they're healing up, actually. Uh-oh, they've got more Tactical Marines coming in. They do more damage when they're close. But I got Overwatch. So this is actually... Well, let's check our damage. I can't kill them off, so this is a losing battle for me, because when these guys run in, they might kill me. So I'm going to back out. I don't have enough units yet. These 2 units I started with. I'll have a jet bike soon, and then I might stand a better chance, but I'd rather give up terrain, give up resources and tiles and stuff than lose these units that I can't even replace. Alright, Ghost Halls are done. Ghost Halls don't require a population, which makes sense. So if you build Ghost Halls, you don't lose a population. It'll add 6 slots, though, which is really good. Doesn't produce anything, and it has a power upkeep, so we'll need to build a power plant soon. So we'll probably grab a tile like here, and then pop a power plant and a Ghost Hall on there. Probably in the opposite order. And we've got our first jet bike. So this is a fast, like, jet bike scout type unit. So you can see they only have 6 health, but they have a lot of armor. So they're less vulnerable to sort of like infantry weapons that tend to have lower armor penetration. But they're vulnerable to weapons with higher armor penetration because they have few hit points. They have really high morale, actually. 10 morale is really nice. They're very fast, 5 movement. And they have different weapons here. They have a laser lance, which is a melee range of 1, limits the armor of the target unit because it's a lance, can't overwatch with that attack. It has a laser lance ranged, which has the assault classification and apparently limits the armor of target unit. I do not know what that means exactly. And it has the twin link shuriken catapults, which are just like these ones, just a little stronger. They have assault, they have blade storm, and they have increased accuracy because they're twin linked. So this unit is kind of an all-rounder. Now, that's all range 1. The reason it has range 1 range attacks and range 1 melee attacks is because if there was a flying unit, it could hit them with these 2 parts of its attack, but it wouldn't be able to hit it with the melee. So this unit still gets in close and does close range combat, but it actually hits a lot of times. So if this unit hits first, it has a pretty good advantage. This is a lot of things it can hit with. And it's got armor pen 4, armor pen 2, so it's okay. For early game, this is a pretty good unit. Okay. They look... I don't know what these tall things are. But yeah, they actually literally have lances in their hands. It's kind of funny. This is the year 40,000, and they're on jet bikes with lances. It's pretty funny. Well, guys, I think that's all the time we have for this episode. So thank you for joining me for episode 1. I know we didn't get a whole lot of stuff done, but at least we got to show off some of our units and some of how the battling works and taking these resources and building up our city and stuff. So thank you for watching, and join me for the next episode.